Hi everyone, we are up and running on day 3 of WFS Live. Yes, it's hump day, but we are keeping the energy pumping and we'll get you through today. We've got 7 more panels to bring you. And don't forget, as I mentioned before, if you've missed anything so far, you can watch it 24 hours later here on this WFS platform. Don't forget, any friends or family you've got who want to check in on this content but haven't signed up until now, Live Now Global's where they need to be. It's available on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn. And in any case, in the weeks to come, it will be on our YouTube channel as well. So you can always catch up on the content after it's first gone live to air. And we'll continue now. We're going to talk a little bit about, I suppose, the notion of change and innovation. The one undeniable thing about change is that it's constant, especially in any industry related to technology, which football increasingly is. But what are the trends among those who really embrace change, those who are starting up in business, those who've got a fresh sheet of paper on which to plot and design their objectives, and especially seen through the prism of responding to this coronavirus pandemic? As you've mentioned, yes, it's adversity, but it provides opportunity on occasion too. There are some intriguing approaches, some fascinating ideas. There's real innovation in motion. So it'll be great to get a handle on the subject in this second session of the day, entitled FootballTech Report, Understanding Trends in Startups and Innovation, in collaboration with SportsTechX. It'll be a nice punchy half-hour conversation, so strap yourselves in. Let's introduce your panel for this one. The Innovation Strategy Specialist at UEFA, Baptiste Alliot, and Head of Digital Strategy and Innovation at Bayern Munich, Thomas Ehemann, and also your moderator for this one, a co-founder of SportsTechX, Rohn Malhotra. Rohn, you are one of our resident innovation gurus. We consider you part of the family here at World Football Summit. You've been a part of many of our events in the past. So great to have you chairing this discussion. Over to you.
Fantastic, David. Love the energy. Always nice to start the panels of the day. Honored to be the first one. Hey guys, welcome to our discussion. Rohn from SportsTechX, of course, and I'm going to start before we get to all the interesting opinion that we'll hear from Baptiste and Thomas. I'm going to start with presenting the FootballTech report, which SportsTechX just published. In fact, we published it just yesterday to quite a lot of social media response that we got. The FootballTech report essentially talks about all the latest innovation that David was referring to, what is happening in the ecosystem, and what the leading innovators in the space are doing around it. As we wait for the presentation to get pulled up, I'll tell you a little bit about where the FootballTech report came from. There we go. Right, there is the FootballTech report. Sorry, it took a second. Yeah, so SportsTechX published the FootballTech report just yesterday, and our goal was to focus on all the startups and investments that happen in this space. This is really key for us because we think the startups drive the latest innovation, of course. Now, we look at it from the perspective of investment that has happened in the football industry. And we look at it over a period of 5 or 6 years, starting from 2015. You can see that there are a bit of peaks and troughs. And while 2020 was a unique year, of course, let's say tricky, unique for a lot of reasons, but there was a strong amount of investment in 2020 as well. 2018 was a breakout year, but we've seen a bit of correction. In 2018, we saw a lot of investment in content platforms, and 2019 and 20, we're seeing this investment get spread out a bit more. And we'll come to those key trends in a second. Where does this investment happen? Well, these are the top countries. Interestingly, the United States tops the charts, with China and the UK not far behind. You might be surprised at seeing that, given why the European country is not dominating, but it's the sheer power of investment that happens in sports tech in general in those economies, in those markets, that drives football tech investment. The UK is much closer, I can tell you, compared to the US and China, compared to overall sports tech. Now, who is driving this innovation? These are just some of the names, and absolutely, I would say the leaders. We've in fact got UEFA and Bayern Munich on the panel today, so you'll hear from these guys. But there is a lot happening. In Europe, there are companies like the Barca Innovation Hub, La Liga, Real Madrid, the KNVB with number 11. You've got initiatives like Reimagine Football. There's stuff happening in Brazil. There's stuff happening in Goa, in India, where I was born. So really proud to see that. Exciting topics. And what are the topics that this innovation is covering? We're going to get into this a bit today. Digitalized training, training in the new age using smart equipment and wearables and focusing on the individual rather than just the team. Automated content and media production, how that is changing the game at grassroots level using AI and machine learning. And the third, the modern fan experience, especially in a post-COVID world. This is getting a lot of attention. So all you have to do is go to sportstechx.com/footballtech and download the report to go through all of this stuff in detail. And for the next 20 odd minutes, so here are a couple of other reports that we publish, which you can check out. But for the next 20 odd minutes, we're going to have a chat with Thomas and JB to get their perspective on what they are doing in the world of innovation. UEFA, of course, has been a long proponent. They've had their innovation hub for a while now, and I believe Bayern Munich has their media lab where they bring on startups in different capacities. We'll just give them a second to join back in. In the meantime, I can tell you, yeah, there we are. Hey, JB, and hey, Thomas.
Hi, Ron.
Fantastic. JB, maybe we'll start with you. Maybe tell us about your background and what UEFA is doing when it comes to connecting with startups.
All right. So long story short, JB working at UEFA for almost 7 years now, fully involved with the Innovation Hub for the last 2 years when we officially announced. Just to give a bit of background to the audience and people listening to us, the Innovation Hub is really the vehicle to help UEFA to put together their corporate strategy for 2019-2024. So the intelligence center from which UEFA Innovation Hub is part of, you have data, strategy, and innovation. And let's say back in 2016, 17, when we understood the industry was shifting, we put together a new strategy, and for which we think like data and innovation needs to be at the core of it. Obviously, we have an internal creation focus. So the value creation here is more for the staff, so to foster a culture of innovation. But here, this is not really what the audience is really interested in. So we have also a second objective and a second pillar, which is more how do we leverage our ecosystem? And this is where we do engage with startups. Not only startups, we also have SMEs, different labs, academics, but definitely startup is part of the journey of the UEFA Innovation Hub.
Yeah, and a key component, I've seen you be participative in different initiatives as a jury member, as your own initiative.
Yeah.
We'll come to that in more to that in a second. Thomas, I see you've either had a face-off kind of moment. Thomas has been.
Emilio.
Is that Emilio? Okay, fantastic. Maybe while we sort that out, JB will stay with you. How can
colleague of mine. Yeah. Yeah, so on our side at UEFA, so the thing is, compared to what Thomas may be able to bring a bit later around equity and the way you can engage with startups, we don't have any venture arm. We don't take shares or equity. Right. So the way we've been putting together the strategy was to start with different challenges. So we've done the 2019 UEFA Startup Challenge. Obviously, you might have heard of the 2020 Reimagine Football. So last year we initiated a football innovation cluster. So with the KNVB, with also Man City, we also had the Johan Cruyff Arena with us. DFL was also involved with Offenheim, and the idea with these challenges is to allow, with these kind of small competitions, to have different startups to come with us. Obviously, on top of these two challenges or these two kind of one-off competition, where we do source different startups, we also have an open innovation scheme because we don't want to have any constraint. The thing is with innovation, it's all about process, and it actually needs to come at the right time, at the right moment. And it's not just on the startup side, it's also on UEFA side. Are we ready? Do we have the resources? Do we have the capacity to actually onboard and test the technology or the product you want to integrate into our own ecosystem? And for that, you need both the startups and the internal business units and ourselves to be ready. And this is why we've launched also an open innovation scheme where we can engage at any time during the year. I mean, we have a website. People can easily find it. If they Google UEFA Innovation Hub, they will find the page. They can apply. And this is where, based on also our strategic needs that we reassess every year and how do we perform, we see where it makes sense or not to actually test different solutions based on our strategic objectives and the capacities of internal business units to actually onboard the startup and the project.
Yeah, I know that you're doing some really powerful stuff. Sorry, as we get Thomas's issues sorted out, we'll hear from him in a second. But I mean, you already mentioned the UEFA Innovation Hub, which has been running for a while. I know you have some key partnerships with a number of startups. Reimagine Football is another initiative that you all are participating in. You already mentioned that, and that's of course a bigger initiative. So UEFA is investing a lot in startups. Maybe JB, you can talk about how this is connecting to the big event which was supposed to happen this year, Euro 2020, which will happen now in 2021. I still have tickets for Euro 2020. I hope to be able to be in the stands. Who knows? But yeah, so how is this a key part of your rollout strategy for Euro 2020? And has that changed now post COVID?
The thing is that we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, in full transparency with you, I mean, I will make it short because Thomas is back on with us, which is a good thing because for the panel,
hope he's going to stay this time.
Yeah, I hope Thomas will stay with us for a bit longer so that I don't have to end up doing all the talk for the next 20 minutes. Just on your question, Ron, on the Euro, it's actually going back to the core of what innovation is. And to a certain extent, the Innovation Hub here, it's not us driving it, but it's rather the organization and all the operations team, the competitions team, the football teams, which are actually planning and putting together different scenarios so that no matter what happens, we're ready. So if we're super lucky or there is a great news with a vaccine or anything, then full on, we can have fans in the stand. That's amazing, but we are also ready in case of, just like we did for the Champions League last season, in a bubble or without fans, or maybe you have a limit. So it's just a matter of how can we best prepare ourselves, especially because it's in 12 countries, which doesn't make things even easier for this Euro, to be honest with you. But the thing is really like how we can be best prepared and from a production and operation standpoint. So this is where we are today.
Fantastic, JB. Yeah, I guess in COVID times, you have to prepare for every scenario. And one of those scenarios is Thomas going out and joining us back. So he's here now, hopefully to stay.
I tried to manage.
Hey, no, JB, I think we did good. I think we covered up pretty all right. Hey, Thomas, welcome finally. Yeah, so first thing I'm sure that everybody wants to know is what is Bayern Munich doing? I mentioned briefly about your media lab, which is almost your investment arm as well. But talk to us about the innovation initiatives at Bayern Munich and what does that mean for startups?
Yeah, sure. So thank you very much for having me. I think this is just the challenges we have to adopt to in COVID times. But now we're finally together. So pleasure to talk to you today about tech innovation. And we're FC Bayern. We are doing innovation in various perspectives. So one is we're trying to use new tech to bring new fan experiences to our fans. For example, we are developing a augmented reality feature right now, where actually our fans can place the trophies we won this year, fortunately, in their living room in COVID times, and we have built a virtual reality experience for our fans. So we are using some AI and machine learning models to improve our fan experience. So this is we trying to embrace everything, and startup collaboration is an important part because it's very important to be close to these young entrepreneurs, and therefore actually we have founded a daughter company, the FC Bayern Digital Media Lab, 2 years ago, and now we are actually investing in startups. We have 2 investments in Dugout, which is a football content platform, and Nexar, which is a virtual reality company in Berlin. And yeah, we're happy and always open for new interesting startups, and embrace this ecosystem to learn.
Yeah, fantastic, Thomas. Thanks for rubbing all your trophies in our face. As a Manchester United fan, I've been missing a few of those for a number of years. But last night we won we had a good win, so I'll take that. But yeah, interesting point. I mean, I think the model of Bayern Munich directly going into an equity position is really, I mean, genuinely innovative in the world of startup and investment. We haven't seen too many teams do that. Uh, Maybe just walk us through how maybe like your selection process. Are startups just applying to you directly, or do you have like a window or a challenge or something, or you're just open every year, all throughout the year, and startups can speak to you whenever they have something of value to present?
Yeah. So first of all, we build up a startup ecosystem and collaborations like to companies like you guys. You're actually very close to the ecosystem. We have a collaboration with Bits and Pretzels, which is the leading startup conference. I myself, I'm a startup mentor at the Technical University. They have a really good accelerator there. So I think the network is key. But besides that, we also have like a sourcing process. We actually use your framework because we are looking in the fields of media, of content, of sports, nutrition, health. Those are all like sports related areas. We are looking for interesting startups. Because we are really convinced we have like a unique assets we can offer to those startups. Not only access to our network, to our partners, but also creating a showcase together and giving access to data, which is getting more and more important. And finally, of course, if we partner up with a startup, we can create a quite big media buzz. And we can also like give B2C startups media outreach through our own media channels and social media channels.
Yeah, and I think we've touched on this before. So there's a bit of media for equity component, but you're also doing cash equity, equity for cash component as well, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
So now we see us as a strategic investor, and we like to start with a media component and strategic values we offer. But who knows? Maybe in the future we will also have a combined model with cash and media. So far, we are concentrating in this early stage on strategic assets we offer, but this could be next level in a couple of years.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're really clear now on what UEFA is doing and how startups can reach out to UEFA through their Open Innovation Hub, of course, through their initiatives with Reimagine Football, which is a continuous program. They just had their finalists announced, I think it was less than a month ago, also featured in the FootballTech report if you want to see all those names. And from Bayern Munich side, they have their media lab where they are investing either directly or for media, or they're open to all forms, shall we say. Okay, now let's talk about where these startups are coming from or what topics they're covering. I think, Thomas, you touched on it briefly. So, JB, I'll start with you. I think there are some key trends that we as SportsTechX always talk about. We talk about the changing pace of individual training, how AR and VR are changing that alongside smart equipment of wearables. We've seen some great applications, have sensors in shin pads, on shoes, etc. That's one big one. The second one is the AI-based automated broadcasting, which is taking really high-quality broadcasting to the grassroots and expanding the pace of what content gets out there on platforms like Mycujo, who then gets bought out by 11 Sports. So really big ecosystem there. And the third one, of course, the modern fan experience at home, in stadium, all those things. So these are some of the trends that we talk about. Are these also the same topics that y'all cover? Is there something else that you consider?
Yeah. I mean, you can see in the report, and we were discussing it, but most of the startups you're featuring, we are either partnering with them through new partnerships, or we have been in touch, we've been testing them. So the thing is, you're really right in terms of where we're at today. And I think if you start with the smart equipment, for Analytics, we've built like for the last 18 months, UEFA player cards on it. So this is nothing new to us. We are definitely looking at the fitness, so what Thomas was referring to from the elite side. So really much sports performance, but how do you go like more mass market, so D2C, and where health and fitness goes in. And And in here, you've mentioned a few of the startups like B42, or Humanux, that was part of the Reimagine Football. We're just supervising it through our different partnerships, but I can also mention you ones that we're looking at, which is called Uplift Lab around connected fitness, that we're looking at today in terms of going from the biomechanics, which is very elite and sports performance driven, to something which is way more related to sports performance at an individual level, so amateur. But this connection of phygital is really, really important. AI-based technology, clearly, I think AI will be some kind of a basis for all high-tech next startups, or for new technologies coming in using AI. Clearly, well, I mean, second spectrum, Veo, Signality, Mycujo, Pixelot. I mean, we've been in contact with all of them. We've been testing them on the sports performance side as well with Track 160. It's even AI in terms of how it can help us to the fan experience. So to your last point, it's how we've been working with WSC in terms of short form of highlights content, in terms of how can we deliver tailor-made, more immersive but preferable content for every fan. And here I can name Live Like that we've worked with for UEFA TV. Now we are thinking on watch parties, on how we can provide a better value proposition for the fan of today, for the new connected fan. And actually, the value of the traditional business model is still relevant, but the thing is, for rights holders like us, or even for Thomas at a club level, we are transforming ourselves into media company, where we are coming from the attention economy to the experience economy. And here it's how you enhance and how you improve that and make the fans more active, and you drive what he wants, where he wants, and when he wants it. And so we are partnering. I mean, I don't want to do any name dropping here, but we've been working with many different suppliers to actually help us doing that. And even now with the COVID situation, it's how you find new ways to actually engage on the digital. So everything that we were foreseeing 4 or 5 years ago, this is just an acceleration today. And how you use more your influencers, how more the social media and the digital side with bite-sized content, so through WSC, but also through Greenfly, in terms of how you can engage your fans to push content to you that you can reuse also, and how you can use the athletes, the players, the clubs, I mean, all your community, brand it. So Greenfly, I mean, you are completely spot on the different
In fact,
things.
that was actually a question raised by Guillaume Romier. I hope I pronounced that right. What are the key trends identified for the next years in the football industry? And I think JB has already answered that. We have only a couple of minutes, Thomas, for you to talk to us about your trends. Are they similar thoughts, or do you have anything else that you're focusing on?
Yes, absolutely. So we see, of course, COVID is accelerating all this digital process and digital interaction with fans. So we see key trends already for a couple of years, like video is getting more and more important. Platforms like TikTok is growing, and interaction is like really above all other platforms. It's going to snackable, shorter content. Mobile is getting more and more important. Not only consumption of content, but also like payment and monetization. 5G will definitely accelerate this development as well. And there's a key trend towards data. I mean, data is key nowadays for all the automation, for personalization. And this is I think this is the basis for the trends you mentioned, because when you talk about, for example, smart equipment, the fitness industry is also like running through a transformation with all these fantastic startups, which are already a little bit later, like Fantastic Freeletics, but now with urban sports clubs. And now we see Peloton, which is combining hardware and software, which are very successful. And there's a clear trend towards gamified training and smart equipment we are also already using for our elite sports. But I think we have, in the next couple of years, we will see some initiatives from clubs to use that actually for fans, combining hardware and software to helping them in areas such as fitness.
I agree, Thomas,
Yeah.
and that is a fantastic segue for us because after our football tech report is our fitness tech report, where we dive deep into exactly the points that you made. I mean, we see this as a trend as well. The fitness tech report will be out in 2 weeks, but all these things, the connected wearables, the smart wearables, live, all those experiences are super critical. I see the red counter has gone down to 3, 2, 1, so I think we're bang on time. I'll end with the poll results. There was a question asked: has COVID-19 proved to be a catalyst for correct, innovative changes in sport? Only 22% says yes, 56% said no, not all changes are good, and another 22% are unsure. I can say the panel for sure is focused on change and focused on innovation, and that is what we're going to see more of. Thank you so much, JB, and thank you so much, Thomas. I think we managed to bring it home on time, and more importantly, get a really good perspective from each of you guys. Any final thoughts? How can people reach out to you? Should they find you on LinkedIn? What are the best channels?
On our side, the Open Innovation channel is always the best. So this is how we've been working. And the thing is, we've built for the last 2 years quite a good ecosystem in the US and in Europe with key partners such as Thomas and such as you guys. So I think if startups wants to find us, they know how to, and they know who to talk to.
Perfect. Thomas as well, I
Yeah.
guess, on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I guess, David, that puts you back.
Yes,
Exactly.
listen, just very quickly, Thomas, LinkedIn, best way for people to get in touch with you. Listen, everyone's sharing their own LinkedIn profiles on the chat, so I'm sure that people will look you up. I often find it's the way when you appear at an event like this, suddenly you get those notification requests just pinging away on LinkedIn. Great to get your thoughts, guys. Really appreciate all of your. It's a very informative session, actually. Just hearing, what is prompting those trends. Really interesting to see UEFA's point of view and the sort of startups that you're partnering with Jean Baptiste. I mean, you mentioned some big names already that have gone on to bigger and better things, not just being startups, but the likes of Maikuchu, of course, Rohn mentioned. Now they are part of 11. Pixelot, Second Spectrum, see what they've done with NBA, which is incredible. Those short form, more immersive highlights, the better fan proposition in terms of value, and also, as you said, moving from that experience of being attentive to being part of the experience, being immersive. I think that's definitely where we're headed. And also from Bayern, mentioning that how video and interaction is more important. You mentioned TikTok and mobile and 5G. All of these are factors that will come into play. And of course, the D word, data, is what everyone's after. It's what everyone wants to have firsthand. Fantastic stuff. Rohn, thank you so much for guiding the conversation so expertly as well. Right, everyone, we are moving on to our next session here at WFS Live on day 3, and we're coming back in just literally a couple of ticks. We're talking about football integrity, global legal implications in a post-pandemic industry. See you very shortly indeed.